I want to tell you about a conversation I had with myself at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting at my laptop again, building something again, and I heard myself say out loud in the dark, Webley, you do not have the luxury of stopping. You did not come this far to slow down. You did not fight this hard to go backwards. And then I stopped because I have been saying that sentence my entire adult life. That sentence kept me moving when I had nothing, when my family was not behind me, when I was figuring out America by myself. Every system, every rule, every unwritten code alone. My hustle story saved me. And I need you to hear that first. Every word of it was real. But the story that saved me in my 20s, it was slowly suffocating me at 50 years old. And today I want to talk about that. Let me tell you what my version of this looked like. I made a decision to build my life here in America, and my family, every single person I loved, was against this decision. Not because they did not love me, but because they were afraid for me, and their fear, it came out as discouragement. It came out as anger, as pressure to go back home and do things the expected way. So for 2 years, I was building something that the people I loved the most did not believe in. And I kept going anyway, not because I was fearless, but because I had looked at my options, and going back, it felt worse than the uncertainty of staying here. Eventually, my family came around, and they came around once they saw that I was serious, once they realized that this was not a phase. And once the evidence showed up that I was actually doing it, and I held onto that story. The story of the woman who bet on herself when nobody around her would. The woman who figured it out alone. The woman who did not need saving. And for a long time, that story was my greatest strength. But here's what nobody told me. The story that gets you through something is not always the story that gets you to something. Now, those are two different stories, and I did not know how to tell them apart because the survival story had become my whole identity. I am the woman who does it alone. I do not ask for help. I do not need saving. I figured it out. And those things, they were true, but they had also become a prison. Because now, every decision had to pass through the story first. Can I rest? No. The story says I do not rest. Can I ask for support? No. The story says I do it alone. Can I charge what I am actually worth? No. The story says I should be grateful just to be in the room. There is a difference between having a story and the story having you. When you have a story, you can pick it up for strength, and then you put it back down when you do not need it. But when the story has you, you cannot make a single move without running it through that story first. I was in the second category, and I was in that category for a very long time. And here's the moment that I finally saw that. I was in a conversation, and someone was pushing me on my pricing, on why I was charging what I was charging for my work. And I heard myself say out loud, I just do not want people to think that I am getting above my station. Above my station. I sat with those words and I asked myself, where did I even learn that phrase? Nobody in my life said that to me directly. But somewhere in the years of figuring it out alone, in the years of proving myself, in the years of working twice as hard for half the acknowledgement, I had absorbed a message. Do not want too much. Do not get too visible. Be grateful for the table. Do not ask for a better seat. And I had been obeying that message without ever consciously agreeing to it. The survival story, it had given me the permission to work hard, but it had also given me permission to stay small, because staying small felt very safe. If you do not get too big, you cannot get knocked back down. And I had been knocked down enough. Then I started this YouTube channel, not because I had everything figured out, but because I was just tired of having it figured out in private. And every time I showed up, imperfect, unfinished, still building, still figuring it out, something started to shift for me. Something started to change. The story was loosening its grip because I was telling it on my own terms, not as evidence of how hard I had it, but as a bridge to where I was going. And that is the pivot. From this is how I survived to this is why I know what is possible. Those are two completely different sentences, and they lead to two completely different lives. Now, let me give you 3 signs that your survival story, it might be keeping you stuck. And I'm not doing this to shame you, because I realize that for myself too. I just want to help you see it too, because you cannot change what you cannot acknowledge or what you cannot name. So, sign number 1, you explain your worth by explaining your wounds. In every introduction, every pitch, every time you walk into a new room, you start with how hard it was. Not what you have built, not what you know, but what you survived. And I want to be honest about this because I did it for years. I thought that if I lead with my struggle, somehow it was proof of my credibility. But what it actually was, it was me pre-justifying my right to be in the room. So I was still paying an entry fee, even after I had already earned my seat. The second sign is you cannot receive. You cannot receive help without feeling like you owe something. You cannot receive a compliment without deflecting it or minimizing it. You cannot receive money without immediately questioning whether you earned it enough. Because the story says that you have to earn everything. Nothing is just given. Nothing comes without a cost. And anything that arrives easily, it must be suspicious. The third sign is rest feels dangerous. Not lazy, but dangerous. If you slow down, you're going to miss out on something. If you slow down, you will lose your edge. If you slow down, you lose your momentum. You lose your identity. Because remember, your identity is wrapped in being the woman who does not stop. And stopping, it almost feels like disappearing for you. So if you saw yourself in any of those 3 signs, Know that you are not broken. You are just still running a program that was given to you, a program that was written for a different season in your life. And programs can be updated. So, what do you actually do with this? Three things that changed everything for me. First, you have to archive the story. You don't have to erase it. Don't erase it. Just archive it because it happened and it was real. It was very real. It shaped you, and you do not owe anyone a sanitized version of it, but you can put it in its proper place, in the past where it belongs. It doesn't have to be in the driver's seat anymore. And the second thing, find the sentence that comes after that story. For me, that sentence is, I built my life from scratch, and now I am building from everything that I have become. That is not surviving. That is leading. Can you feel the difference between those two sentences? One keeps you in the fire, the other puts you on the other side of it. Third, and this one scared me the most, let people see you after the struggle, not just in it, not just recovering from it, past it, you're done with it, thriving in it. Because survival stories are powerful when you are in the fire, but when you come out on the other side, people need to see you out the other side. That is the part of the story that gives someone else permission to believe that they actually can make it too. And know that you are not abandoning your past by stepping into your future. You are completing the story. And know that you cannot finish a story if you refuse to put it down. Every good book has an end, right? Now, I want you to drop a word in the comments, just one word. And that word, it describes your story, the story that you've been hiding in. I will go first. Mine was survivor. I'm a survivor. That was my whole identity for years. It was true. And it was also a cage. Now, what is yours? What is your word? Tell me. I'm Webley, Haitian immigrant. I'm also a mom. I'm a launch strategist. I'm a funnel engineer, and someone who also spent too many years wearing her survival story like a shield when it was time to carry it like a badge. Now I want you to hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.